כל תודה לכל מי שהגיע. אני רוצה לקבל אל הבמה את מנכ"ל המועדון, the chief executive, בן מנספורד, please. Also Yoris van Oberheim, our central midfielder.
Obviously, we're going to mention during this interview and this session that Yoris is learning Hebrew. No pressure, big man. Or on his teacher, Nama, sat at the back. But for me, it's really important that on behalf of the club, I wish everyone Shana Tova. I think in terms of this is the year, but I think we started the change in June, and the honey and the apple will taste much nicer in May with 3 trophies in the cabinet and hopefully a good progression in Europe as well. So Shana Tova.
Please share with us the moment of when you got the phone call with the offer to return to Maccabi.
I can see where I was. I was driving out of the Blackpool Stadium home about 7 p.m. at night. Bit like this morning, it was raining. Rains a lot in the north of England. And Jack Angelidis. Don't think I owe him any money. Don't think I got in any trouble. So my wife and I always spoke about what would we do if Jack rings, Mitch rings, what if Maccabi asked us to go back. So as you all know, we took a sabbatical. We went home to England for 3.5 years. We had 2 little girls, Noah and Etta. So it was time to come back. But I watched all the time. I watched the games, and I think you all know it was really it was time. I had to go home I had to be around the family in England. But now it was right. It's a special place, and it's just not acceptable for Maccabi not to win. And when I left last time, we'd had a really successful time. And I guess when I come back, I've got everything to lose and maybe not so much to gain. But the vision of bringing the championship back to Maccabi, that was worth the risk, because I know what that means to Mitch, to Jack, to all the staff, to the club, to the supporters. And yeah, I can still remember driving home, Jack ringing, and me just thinking, I hope this call is what I think it's going to be. And it was. And he said, go and speak to the wife. I said, not a chance. She'll want to get on the plane back to Tel Aviv before me. And the rest is history.
This is your 2nd season at Maccabi, but there are those who claim that you are the most important signing of this summer. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't say that about myself, but for me it feels also as a new season, a new beginning, new energy, new, what Ben said, new stuff, new vision. So it feels as a new beginning, but best signing, I wouldn't say that. Also, I don't know if you saw Milson play, but I think if he can continue like this, he can also be a star of the league.
But for you personally, this season, you had so far a great performance. You have a major impact on the pitch. A big change for you compared to last season.
Yes. No, I get the opportunity to play a lot of games in a row. I think the system of the coach and the vision of the coach suits me well. To play forward, press forward, play to win matches. So yeah, but it's still the start of the season. So we played 8 games, I think. 10 games. So it's the start and we have to continue.
For those who follow the Instagram account of you and your partner, Rowan, it appears that you have formed a strong bond with Israel and Tel Aviv in particular. I also hear, as Ben say, you learn in Hebrew. נכון?
נכון. Yes. For the Hebrew lessons, I have to give all the credits to Nama, my teacher. And I have an agreement with her that at the end of the season, I will do an interview in Hebrew. So now you can't expect any Hebrew words from me.
But as a Dutch, you probably don't have any problem with the words with chet.
No, that's not a problem. No, and for the first part of the question, from this day one, we felt at home in Tel Aviv. And it's especially because of my fiancée, Rowan. Yes, he made it really easy for me to adapt here in a new city, to start a new life here with new favorite coffee shops, new restaurants, new places to visit, walks with the dog. So I have to thank her a lot. And but how is it possible not to like Tel Aviv? You have beach, nice weather, good food. Only the shit thing is like the parking and the traffic, but the rest is top.
Recently, the Ministry of Sports and Culture started a campaign against violence in sport. And that is a very welcome step, but the way to start this campaign was a video showing a young boy going to a stadium and then witnessing very hard violence. And the video was presenting football fans as violent and brutal. And I wanted to ask, after a little over 2 seasons in Maccabi, seeing the fans inside the stadium and the activity of the fans outside the stadium, what do you think about this video? What do you think about this campaign? And what do you think about the fans in Israel, about the Maccabi fans?
We want the season to be decided on the pitch. We don't want points deductions. If we win, we want to win on the pitch. And therefore, it's really important that Maccabi is a special club that works to different standards to any other team in Israel. So firstly, we should take care of ourselves. We should make sure that we behave in a way that makes sure we win the championship on the pitch, not in the courtroom, not in an arbitration, not on an appeal. And if other teams want to behave in a way that is not how Maccabi behave, then that's for the government and the police and other people to sort. But we don't want violence. You know, we've seen in the 28,000 that we've had here, the sellout crowds that we've had here for the European Games, that we've got a remarkable atmosphere. And you see families, children, you know, it was the holidays during the European Games. We've seen a huge representation of all of Tel Aviv and all of Israel representing Maccabi. So I understand why that commercial and that advert was produced. Violence isn't acceptable. We cannot see things that we saw at the State Cup final. We've seen that Israel has had an incredibly successful campaign in Argentina and in Europe, where the under-20s and the under-21s both make the semi-finals. As a club, we sold a very talented young player in January to one of the leading clubs in Europe. And of course, Daniel left us to go to Bayern Munich, which I thought as a club we handled incredibly well. That's what we want to be known for. And that's what we want Israeli football to be known for. Our coefficient is improving as a country. We're going to go up to 15th. It will open new doors in Europe for all of our teams. So it's really important that we all work together to eradicate violence, to deal with pyrotechnics in a different way to which we're all dealing with. And as best in class Maccabi, we have to set the standard. So we will take a very strong stance as a club against violence, against people who don't behave right. And let's all come together to make sure that Maccabi are known for winning the championship in 23-24 on the pitch, not in an arbitration and not because of point deductions. So that's a long answer to a very short question.
Ben, your first impression when you just arrived in Israel?
The guys said, you've got to tell the truth. Shlomi's not here. So I left Leeds. I'm from the north of England. We're quite simple in the north of England, yeah? We like our tea. We go to bed early. We're simple people. So I remember landing in Tel Aviv. It was a bit daunting. And I had a full day in the office and I was a bit nervous. Didn't really eat anything. And then Shlomi, who's our player liaison, picks me up to take me to coffee bar on the night. And there was Jack Angelidis, Moran Miri, there was Yale, there was all like the management team. And I said to Shlomi, just take me to the airport, I want to go home. And he said, what? I said, I don't think I can do it. It's so different to home. I miss my mum. I was like 40 years of age, but okay. I said, like, I miss my mum. Just take me to the airport. I just want to go home. He said, look, just breathe, stop sweating, calm down. I'll drive round a bit. In Israel, as I now know, you're never on time. Everyone's always late. So he drove me round for 30 minutes. I sort of stopped sweating. I turn up to the dinner. I order like a sparkling water and like some small fish dish. And they're looking at me going, the English guy don't want a beer. He don't want a glass of wine. He don't want a drink. He don't want to eat. Like, and I'm quite a big lad. And they were like, oh. So the next day I sat with Jack Angelides and I said, I think I want to go home. And he was like, look, just calm down. You'll love it. It's all be good. And Jack and I in the office now, we still laugh about the day and the night that Ben wanted to go home. So, yeah, my first impression was I wanted to go home. And as you all know, I ended up, sort of doing 2.5 years and now coming back. And Tel Aviv's a second home. We're not political. We're not religious as a family, but we couldn't find an English name for our first daughter. So we called her Noah. So she has a Hebrew name. So, yeah, but the rest is history. But no, my initial impression, and the guys still laugh about it, is I wanted my mum and I wanted to go home.
Yoris, what about you?
My first memory of Tel Aviv was when we visited Tel Aviv when I was young at Dizengoff Square, that we weren't allowed to cross the road at this time. And I think it's a smart decision of my parents not to let us cross the road. And when we came here last summer, I think it was that the first walk with sunset on the beach, that you saw everyone playing football, doing sports, volleyball. And I was disappointed that I knew I was not going to play sports in the evening because I had to train, and the life on the beach, I think.
The first Hebrew word you managed to learn?
Shalom.
I don't know the first one, but the one that I say around the office is that I've fallen in love with, that I can say in a public environment and not towards a referee, is Mabitom. I just love it. So they come and they shout at me and like they're in my office. It's usually Tomer telling me that we can't spend this, we can't. I'm like, Mabitom. So I don't remember if it was my first one, but it's the one that I've come to love. So Mabitom.
What is your favorite holiday spot in Israel?
I like the desert. So last week we went to Shacharut. So this will be my favorite holiday spot in Israel.
I think if you go anywhere other than Tel Aviv, it's like cheating. It's like it's not really real, is it? Because there's Tel Aviv and then there's Israel. They never liked me when I went south. We did spend for my birthday and my first time here, a weekend up in Rosh Pina, and that was very nice. Sat up there, but for me, I'm a bit of a Blue Beach type of guy. That for me. The other night we were there with the little ones, 6:30, 7 o'clock. The sun's coming down, cold Gold Star, bit of cauliflower.
Gold Star, you're really Israeli.
Yeah, there's beer in it. But no, for me, Tel Aviv and the beach of Tel Aviv take some beating.
The break, the club announced the signing of Orlando, the new goalkeeper from Panama. He played in the Venezuelan league. How does the club identify players from such remote leagues that most people don't really watch or know about?
I think it's really important, and I hope that we've shown even just the small start that we've made with Dom and myself and a change in the sort of, the professional staff, that we can't just rely on going to the same parts of the world and doing the same things that everybody else does. We need to look for quality. We need to look for people that want to be here. I think you get that passion from Yoris and most of the guys that you will speak to. So yeah, we're looking at South America and as an important market for us. I think it's something we will continue to look at. I think then we can't go to the same places in South America that the rest of the teams in Europe go to, or the bigger teams in Europe. We need to be strategic. And yeah, Orlando, I won't quite, well, I can't, the guy went through everything to get here. One flight was cancelled. He camped out at an airport for nearly a day to get on the right planes to get here, to make sure he got here. He had a real desire to come to Maccabi to play in European football. And they're the type of people that we want. Milson, Kiko, Yoris will tell you that I think we have a good atmosphere now in the group. So, yes, we're going to have to use video scouting. Yes, we're going to use data. Yes, Dom is going to put a strategy in place to make sure that we identify not just the leagues, but the people. And I hope, we say in English, touch wood, I think it happens, it's said in Israel as well, that Orlando could be the start of a journey into some of those markets. And what's refreshing is the players that we're signing this summer, they want to be in Maccabi. They want to be here. They see it as a destination, not as a means of earning a salary.
How was it like for you to come to a new country, to play in a club like Maccabi that want to reach goals every year? And for Ben, I see Maccabi as a club that should be like Benfica, Salzburg, Ajax, that should grow players, sell them in like 20 million euros and use this money to develop more players. Do we have a system? Is that our vision to be there?
The move to Maccabi, in Holland I played for AZ and Utrecht. And we play for position 4-5. So we play to get into Europe, not to win a trophy or become champion. And here there's a whole different pressure. So you have to win every match. You play against teams that drop back. You have to create chances, score goals. And you always feel, every day you feel the pressure to win a championship. And especially this year, it's even more because last season was terrible. So it's completely different. And that's also why I wanted to come to Maccabi, to feel this pressure and to play for a trophy instead of playing for position 4 or 5.
Yoris, if I may, how difficult was it for you personally due to the fact you didn't get much credit last year, especially as a foreign player in a new place for you?
Yeah, it was a difficult season, but I already said it in an interview. I'm not a person that looks back with like negativity and start to blame other people or things that happened. Could be a different season last season. It wasn't. So the whole season, or whole last season, I was focused to when I would get my opportunity to play, I would get it and I wouldn't go out of the team again. So I was working for this season.
No, I mean, look, I was pleased that question came up, Netta, because for me, the journey that Yoris has been through with us, that epitomizes Maccabi. Like, I'm here, I'm going to win, I'm going to get my chance. When I get it, I'm going to take it. And I ain't going to let anybody else back in. And the fact that the big man's done that, I think that energy, that attitude, that professionalism, that radiates, that passes through others. So big respect to the journey that Yoris has been on after coming back from that injury, probably knowing that his chances under the former coach were going to be limited from what I understand. But then the minute he got his chance, he's took it, and massive respect to him. I think we've come a long way in establishing one of the best academies in Israel, if not the best academy. I think what happened with Daniel was really important for this football club, but I think it was massively important for Israeli football. When you speak to both the Israeli agents and the foreign agents now in Europe and abroad, everybody now has heard of Maccabi Tel Aviv after this summer. What's happened with Daniel, bringing Robbie and his staff and Mike, a Premier League winner, some of the recruitment we've made. So I think, yeah, we not many people in Israel want to sell us players. And I think with some of what may happen with the agency regulations and what that may mean for us, it's going to be crucial that we have and we develop the best talent in Israel. And if that best talent goes past us in the way that Daniel did, and I think we were all delighted for him, even though we'll miss him, then so be it. But I get excited about Roy Revivo. I get excited about Dor Tushman. I get excited, hopefully, about Ido Shachar getting more opportunities this year and putting Yoris and Dor and the guys under pressure. Tomer Ilon has trained with us and travelled with us most of the season so far. So that has to be our aspiration, not just, as I said earlier, to be best in Israel, but we've also got to compete on that player development side. I mean, look, the Dutch youth set up and the development they do with France, with Germany, with England, it's huge. But we have to push ourselves to do that. And I think what we've done, and I think maybe what Willy Ruttensteiner did a little bit in the structure that he gave them, and I wish Yossi and Bonnie Ginsberg, all the best with what they're doing. But with what happened with the U20s and the U21s, I think that we have to have that as a goal. And every so often the players will go past us.
You touched before about Mitch being very engaged. I just wanted to ask if the distance from him still doesn't take any toll when you make big business decisions like selling players or buying new players or anything like that.
No, look, this guy, he's one of the most successful property developers in Canada. He has a unique business, nearly 300 shopping malls. He's a really impressive guy. He makes you want to be better. Okay, the players feel that, the staff feel that. When he comes in the office, you just feel the energy change. And I think the guys have seen him at games and camps this year, and it has a difference. But in terms of being able to get hold of him, none of that's a problem. He wants to be involved in all those decisions, and he brings a vision and an intensity to that decision-making process that very few people can bring. He's a really, really impressive guy, and he sees things and he asks questions, and you're like, damn, got to do better. Damn, want to be better. I want to get on a call with Mitch and I want to have all the answers, and he's not going to think of anything I've not thought of, and he always does, because that's why he's Mr. Successful. But I can give everyone in this room, and I will always do it, that he's with us. He's completely with us. He gives us all the time that we need, and he has a vision and he has an energy, but it's the intensity. And what he's really good at is he's always thinking about, what if that doesn't work? Well, if that doesn't work, where do we go next? And if that doesn't work, and if he gets injured, what? And that's what he does, and that's why he's been very successful. I remember when we won the championship and we had the night in the park. It was an unbelievable night, and we were like, Sharon was sat there, and we've got it sorted, Mitch. 20,000 people. We know what we're doing. Don't worry. And he's, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? It's a fan event. It's a celebration, Mitch. We'll be all right. And he's like, no. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And the level of detail that he wants to get into about every decision is impressive, and he's really, really intent on making sure that we really push ourselves over the next few years, and we don't have any inertia, any slow, when we need to make a decision, he's always there.
Thank you, Maccabi CEO Ben Mensford. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much, Yoris. Now we know how to pronounce your name, and our very best luck in the coming season. And we want to thank you. It was a great evening, and we want to wish you Shana Tova, and hopefully to see you next time.